Brookings County Planning and Zoning Commission's October 1st, 2024 meeting. This meeting is being recorded, televised, and viewable on Swiftel Channel 19, ITC Channel 168, or the Brookings County YouTube channel. Call this meeting to order. First agenda item, approval of minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Paulson,
Second.
second by Vanderwall. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Items to be added to the agenda by commission members or staff.
I don't have anything.
Nope, just during our staff report.
Okay. Invitation for citizens to schedule time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. Seeing none. Disclosure of conflicts of interest, relationships to the applicant, or ex parte communication. Nothing? Great. Approval of agenda. Is there a motion? Motion by Erickson,
Second.
second by Vanderwall. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Which Vanderwall?
Kelly. Motion passes. I'll have to do that tonight, ain't I?
Yes.
We will now convene as the Brookings County Planning and Zoning Commission. The Brookings County Planning Commission is a 9-member commission whose function is to recommend approval or disapproval of land use plans, zoning ordinances, subdivision plats, and amendments thereof to the Brookings County Commission. The commission makes its recommendation based on the adopted comprehensive plan for the physical development of the unincorporated areas of Brookings County. As a matter of policy, all motions are made in the positive. After a motion has been moved and seconded, it is open for debate. Those supporting the motion shall in turn give their reasons. Those opposing the motion shall then offer their reasons. After everyone has been given a chance to be heard, the commission shall recommend approval or disapproval based on the testimony and information presented. A simple majority vote of a quorum of members of the Planning and Zoning Board in attendance is required to forward a recommendation. Moving on, agenda item 2024, Plat 017, Plat of Meyer Edition, located in the south one half of the northwest 1/4 of Section 14, Township 110, North Range 51W, the 5th Primary, Brookings, South County, South Dakota. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Kyle Vanderwall,
Second.
second by Paulson. Richard reviewed staff report.
Yes, 2024, Plat 017, Dan and Kay Ziegler are platting off 8.55 acres for the 80 acres they own. The land is grassland and waterway. There is an access easement across Lot 1B, Industrial Park, Second Edition, to access Industrial Drive, a City of Volga street. The City of Volga has approved the plat and signed the highway authorization for access as the plat adjoins the city limits of Volga. Plat meets the platting requirements from the 2016 Comprehensive Plan of the Unincorporated Rural Areas Statement on page 24 for the agricultural land use. Here's the plat. Kind of triangle in shape there, irregular shaped. This is where it's noted the access easement off Industrial Drive to access the property. Here is the plat on the beacon map. Here's the beacon map showing the red areas in the floodplain area. Just a little triangle shaped right here. That's all that I have, and the applicant is not here this evening.
Thank you. If the applicant is not here, we'll move to the public hearing portion. Is there anybody in the audience that's for this? Seeing and hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that's opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, I'll now close the public hearing and move to the board. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing and hearing none, Richard, would you call the vote?
Kelly Vanderwall,
Aye.
Paulson,
Aye.
Kleinjohn,
Aye.
Starhog,
Aye.
Kyle Vanderwall,
Aye.
Jornby,
Aye.
Troyan,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
and Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving on, agenda item 2024, plat 018, plat of Johnson Addition in the south one half of the north one half of the southwest 1/4 of Section 3, Township 111 North, Range 47W of the 5th Primary Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Troyan. Second.
Second.
Paulson with the second. Richard, read your staff report.
2024 plat 018, Ryan and Jessica Johnson are plating off an existing 6.6 acre building site from the 39.89 acres they own. The building site consists of the shelter belt, house, and a pole shed, and there is an access easement on the plat for access to the remaining farm ground. And it does meet the plating requirements of the 2016 comprehensive plan for the unincorporated areas found on page 24 for the agricultural land use. Here is the plat right here. This is the noted, this is the rest of the property right here. This is the access easement going across right here along the south edge of the property. Here is the plat on the beacon map. That access easement would be going right along here to get at the rest of the farm ground. Right now it's currently in grass and hay. It's just the building site marked coming off. This is the 88 balance of the 80 acres there. That's all that I have, and the applicant is not here this evening.
Thank you, Richard. If the applicant isn't here, we'll move to the public hearing portion. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, I'll now close the public hearing portion. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing none, Richard, would you call the vote?
Yes, Paulson.
Aye.
Kleinjohn.
Aye.
Storhog.
Aye.
Kyle Vanderwall.
Aye.
Jornby.
Aye.
Troyan.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Kelly Vanderwall.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving on, agenda item 2024, plat 019, plat of Lesner's Conservation Easement Tract 1 in the southeast 1/4 of Section 9, Township 109 North, Range 50W, the 5th Primary Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Paulson, is there a second?
Second.
Who had that? Darrell. Second by Kleinjohn. Richard, would you read the staff report?
2024 plat 019, Sean Lesner is planting off 15.15 acres. That is primary grass and pasture land that we going into an easement program. And the plat meets the plating requirements of the 2016 unincorporated rural areas on page 24 for agricultural land use. Here is the plat. This irregular shaped 15 acres right here in the southwest part of his property. Here's the plat on the beacon map. This would be located right in this area right here. This is his building site that is already platted off. And that's all that I have, and the applicant is not here this evening.
Thank you, Richard. If the applicant is not here, we'll move to the public hearing portion. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, I'll now close the public hearing portion. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing and hearing none, Richard, would you call the vote?
Kleinjohn.
Aye.
Storhog.
Aye.
Kyle Vanderwall.
Aye.
Jornby.
Aye.
Troyan.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Kelly Vanderwall.
Aye.
Paulson.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving on, agenda item 2024, plat 020, plat of Lesner's Conservation Easement Tract 2 in the southeast 1/4 of Section 9, Township 109 North, Range 50W, the 5th Primary Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Klein John,
Second.
second by Kelly Vanderwall. Richard, would you read the staff report?
2024, plat 020, Sean Lesner is planting off 90.33 acres that is primarily grass pasture land that will be going into an easement program. And the plat meets the platting requirements of the 2016 comprehensive plan for the unincorporated rural areas on page 24 of the agricultural land use. Here is the platted area. Here is a plat on the beacon map. Across here. This is just the beacon map showing the one big parcel right here. And that's all that I have, and the applicant is not here this evening.
Thank you, Richard. Since the applicant is not here, we'll move to the public hearing portion. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, we'll now close the public hearing portion. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing and hearing none, Richard, would you call the vote?
Storhog,
Aye.
Kyle Vanderwall,
Aye.
Troyan. Oh, no, excuse me, Jornby,
Aye.
Troyan,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Kelly Vanderwall,
Aye.
Paulson,
Aye.
Kleinjohn,
Aye.
and Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving on, we will now convene as the Brookings County Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment is a 9-member board which has the power to hear requests for variances, conditional uses, appeals of non-ministerial decisions of the zoning officer. The concurring vote of 2/3 of the full board membership of the board, 6 votes, is necessary for approval of variance or an appeal to the zoning officer. The concurring vote of a simple majority of those board members present and voting is necessary for approval of a conditional use permit. In accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, we require a motion to approve a request before it can then be debated. As a matter of policy, all motions are made in the positive. The board, under specific powers granted to it by the state, shall authorize variances from zoning requirements where special conditions existing on the land will result in an unnecessary hardship for the applicant. Financial disadvantage to the property owner does not constitute proof of an unnecessary hardship. Moving on, agenda item 2024, variance 018. Mary Rain has made an application 2024 variance 018 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for a variance Article 4 District Requirements, Chapter 4.01A Agricultural Land District, Section 4.01.05 Area Regulations, Easements, Single-Family Residence Minimum Front Yard. The property is described as the south 570 feet of the east 707 feet of Government Lot 1 and the north 24 feet of the east 707 feet of the south 1/2 of the northeast 1/4 of Section 4, Township 111 North Range 48W, Sherman Township, located at 20223 481st Avenue, White, South Dakota 57276. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Kyle Vanderwall,
Second.
second by Paulson. Richard, would you read the staff report?
Yes, 2024 variance 018, Mary Rain has applied for a front yard variance to build a new residence 122 feet from the center of 481st Avenue, a variance of 11 feet. The required setbacks is 133 feet from the center of 481st Avenue. The original house has been removed and the location of the proposed house has been leveled off. The distance from the west side of the proposed house to the locations of the existing buildings would be greater than 60 feet. And the board will have to consider is, does this meet the requirements for a variance as stated in the zoning ordinance in section 6.05.02, powers and jurisdictions relating to variances. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on September 17th and 24th, 2024, and the White Tri-City Star on September 19th and 26th, 2024. Letters were sent to the adjoining landowners and the Sherman Township Chairman and Clerk. Here is the variance application. Here's the site plan. Showing the existing road where the original house was 84 feet. She would like the new house to be from the center of the road 122 feet. Here's just some elevations of her proposed house, single-story ranch. This is the west side, I believe. This would be the south side. This would be the north. And this would be the back side. It's just a size of the foundation footprint there, and the floor plan. This is the beacon map. This is where it's showing the existing house and where the existing house was, and some buildings. There've been little buildings have been moved around on there. The old house has been removed on there. This area right in here has been leveled off and filled in. This is just looking, some pictures looking from the driveway looking south down 481st Avenue. This is looking towards the north. This is looking west towards the driveway, or from the driveway looking west towards the building site. This is looking off to the northwest. Gravel pad is her proposed location there. This one here is just looking from the road looking west where the wheel is at. It's 122 feet from the center of 481st Avenue. This is looking at the north where the wheel is at. They had stakes out there that day when I was there where the corner of the house would like to be. You can see here this is at 122. This is the setback. You see where the wheel is farther back on the gravel pad right here for that. This is just looking back towards the west where the wheel is at 133. This is the area that was leveled off and filled in. Just looking towards, on the west side here, this is looking towards the northeast, looking up the amount of fill that was brought in there, the power pole there. Just same way here, just, and the proposed house is back up on this gravel pad on top of the dirt right there. That's all that I have, and the applicant is here this evening.
Thank you, Richard. The applicant, please come forward, clearly state your name into the mic.
Mary Rain?
Do you have anything to add to Richard's report at this time?
No.
Are there any questions from members of the board?
Is that garage part, that corner of the garage, that's the 122 feet, right, from the road?
Yep,
Yeah, so the rest of the house is,
is further away.
further back.
Correct.
Yep.
And it's at an angle, so it's just a triangle piece that would be too close.
What's your hardship to need it to be closer to the road?
Because, okay, if you stop right there on those pictures, in order to get to the hay shed with the open end, I'd have to move a road into what used to be a cattle lot, where if I leave it where it's at, it's been there like 60 years. So, I mean, it's already packed and everything.
That would be this.
That'd be that road right there below the grade.
Yep.
Are there any other additional questions from members of the board at this time? You can go back to your seat for a minute, then we'll keep moving forward with this. With no questions from board at this time, we'll move to the public hearing portion. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, we'll now close the public hearing portion and go back to the board for comments or questions. Any comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing and hearing none, Richard, would you read the findings of facts?
Yes, Brookings County zoning variance 2024, variance 018, an application for a variance have been filed with the Brookings County Zoning Commission, acting as a Brookings County Board of Adjustment. Copy of the application being attached here too. Such application being made by Mary Rain regarding the following real property. The south 570 feet of the east 707 feet of Government Lot 1 and the north 24 feet of the east 707 feet of the south half of the northeast 1/4 of Section 4. Township 111 North, Range 48 West, Sherburne Township, located at 20223 481st Avenue, White, South Dakota, 57276. After due notice, a public hearing have been held on the application on this first day of October 2024. Number one, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment hereby finding that the strict application of the Brookings County zoning ordinance would produce undue hardship, that such hardship is not shared generally by other properties in the same zoning district, and that the same vicinity, and that the authorization of such variance would be not of substantial detriment to the adjacent property, and the character of the district would not be changed by the granting of the variance, and that the granting of such variance is based upon reasons of demonstrable exceptional hardship and distinguished from the variations for the purpose of convenience, profit, and caprice. Number two, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finding that the condition or situation of the property concerned or the intended use of the property is not so general or reoccurring in nature as to make reasonable, practicable the formulation of a general regulation to be adopted as an amendment to the zoning ordinance. Number three, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finding that the written application of the petitioner demonstrates that special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or buildings in the same district, that literal interpretations of the provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under the terms of this ordinance, that the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant, that the granting of the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privileges that is denied by the ordinance to other lands, structures, or buildings in the same district. Number four, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further findings that the reasons set forth in the application justify the granting of the variance, and that the variance is a minimal variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structures, and that the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and the intent of the Brookings County zoning ordinance, and will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. Number five, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further determines and condition this variance upon the following special conditions or safeguards. A, lay of the land. The Brookings County Board of Adjustment, by at least 2/3 vote of its full membership, hereby grants the above petitioner variance for the above described real property as follows. Build a 32-foot by 66-foot residence with an attached garage, 122 feet from the center of 481st Avenue. This variance is specifically conditioned upon initial and continued compliance with all the conditions and safeguards in 5 above, and upon compliance with all applicable provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. If approved, the Brookings County zoning director is authorized to issue any required building permits for construction consistent with the terms of this variance. If this variance is not used in 3 years of the date granted, it shall be invalid. Dated this first day of October, 2024.
Luke, something in the findings of facts isn't sitting right with me here. Is there something we're doing wrong here?
Well, the question that was there about whether or not the approval is for convenience or caprice is really the question you've got to ask yourself, whether there's a hardship here or this is for convenience. I know you have had cases where people have gotten some variances to make sure that it's okay to get into some farm buildings, and if that's the reason, then you maybe ought to make sure that that's the point.
Luke, we're really getting some feedback here on your end. You're kind of hard to understand, so I don't know if it's your volume or...
Let me try the headset. Are you able to hear me better through this?
Try that again.
Is this better?
There you go. You might want to repeat that or start over with your,
Okay, so the real question that you've got to ask is whether or not the permit is being issued for convenience or caprice. I know that you have a history where sometimes you've granted some variances to make sure that it's okay to get into some ag buildings that are there. And if that's the reason, you probably ought to state that. But the truth is, a house could be built on this lot still, even if the rules were followed. And the existence of non-conforming structures beforehand is not a reason to grant it now. I know it wasn't listed as a reason there, so for what it's worth, that's not being used. But that is the main thing you want to sit on, or at least think about. If you're okay with that, then you probably ought to make that note that the difficulty is getting into that shed. If you feel like that's the thing that everyone else goes through, then maybe you ought to vote no. So that's all.
Thank you, Luke. So basically,
Thank you.
labeling access to the shed as the hardship?
that's what, if that's what you would like in there, yes, that's what she is stating. I measured it roughly from a minimum of 60 feet between the east edge of that shed just to the west of her house to about the end of that driveway. Didn't go all the way to the edge of the property, but I can pull it up and try to measure it there if you'd like.
Could you do that? Two oh two two three.
Luke, you've got elevator music going. Or else you're playing the piano.
Who's on his electric keyboard? That was the feedback.
Okay, so if we go to the corner of this existing shed, up to the edge of that driveway is like 65 feet. And I believe, look on the site plan, the edge of the house would be about right in this area right here. So there's, if you want to call it 95 feet between that building and the edge of her house, proposed house. Is that approximately where the edge, the northwest corner of your building would be, your house, I mean?
Yeah, approximately.
Okay, well, I'll have to ask you, to come back up in front of the mic and to answer any questions.
Approximately, that looks right. Yep.
So you'll have to ask yourself, is 96 feet too small of an area to access that shed? That would be the question you'd have to ask yourselves.
And then that sets at an angle. So if where would the front corner be at then?
The front
Right,
corner would be down
basically at the edge of the old house, right?
right in here. This would be the back corner here, and this would be the other front corner about right in here. Well, step from here.
A little bit big, but yeah.
Say this is not to scale, but it's.
No.
Why can't this? My end button is not there.
You just draw lines wherever you want now.
You'll etch a sketch.
Don't shake it. So there would be room to finagle the house in there to not need a variance.
And the porch would be, the covered porch is on the west side, and that sticks out 10 feet from the edge of the house, which is kind of in the middle of the house, which would not be at the very northwest corner. And so,
Gotcha.
if you can see right here. Whoop. This would be the covered porch that would, not at the corner up here, so it would be back farther away from the road or driveway than that corner as the angle goes, so.
So if you would lighten the angle to move the corner farther away from the road, potentially the porch is gonna become what needs the variance on?
No, the porch is towards the west side, towards
West side.
towards the shed.
Okay, towards the backside of the property, gotcha.
So if the house was square with the world, it would work
Well-
without the variance.
The way I'm looking at it right now, and alls I can picture in my mind is financial disadvantage does not constitute proof of an unnecessary hardship. And the only reason to leave the path to the road path to the shed is to save money. So it's a financial disadvantage is the only reason that we would grant this variance. According to the way our ordinance is written. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
It just seems like it'd be really close to the buildings if you have it moved back.
Yeah. And being a hay shed, that creates a fire danger.
And it's already a lot further back than the old house was.
I agree. You don't want to crowd your buildings in case you ever want to expand your buildings either, so.
Well, are there any additional comments or corrections to the findings of facts? Any other questions, anything? Hearing none. Wait, hold up. Are there any additions or corrections to the findings of facts?
Mr. Chair, I find that this application meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance as long as the findings of the facts are followed, so I concur with the findings of the facts.
Thank you, Mr. Paulson. That being said, Richard, would you call a vote?
Yes, Kyle Vanderwall.
Aye.
Jornby.
Aye.
Troyan.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Kelly Vanderwall.
Aye.
Paulson.
Aye.
Kleinjohn.
Aye.
Starhog.
Aye.
And Ford.
No.
Motion passes. 8 ayes, 1 no.
Moving on, department reports.
Yes, sir. You may have noticed that the area is starting to get extremely dry, and it's projected for the next 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, to be even drier. So the Brookings County Commission has been requested to enact a burn ban. It is expected that by Friday, Brookings County will have a burn ban. That's not going to prohibit farming activities, obviously, but You do need to be careful out there because combines, there's been at least 1 or 2 combine fires and a couple hay bale fires already this year, so we just want you to be careful and have a safe harvest. And once the burn ban is enacted, don't burn, please, out in the open, so. And that's all I've got, sir. Richard?
Yes, our November meeting will not be on Tuesday in November this year, being it's Election Day. It will be on Thursday, November 7th. And the time changes back to 7 PM. So we'll be meeting on Thursday, November 7th at 7 PM for our November meeting. Had some historical building sites that, with the new zoning update going back to 50 years, that takes out some of them prior building sites that would have been approved previously. So right now, the building site, historical building sites go back to 1974. So there's been a couple that have wondered why or whatnot. So anyway, that's just a couple of the things that we've had come through the office through the month of September here. So otherwise, that's all that I have. If you're up for election, get your applications back into the county commission office by next Friday, I believe, the 11th. So that is the deadline for applications for the zoning board members. So otherwise, that's all that I have, and that's it.
No
Any
need
need
for an
for-
executive session, sir.
No need. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
By Paulson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kyle Vanderwall. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.